The psyche and the consciousness are very little understood in our modern world today. And there are a lot of people that exist, a lot of young people and older people, middle-aged people that essentially have fallen victim to a completely demolished psyche state, with no real understanding of why they feel so bad, down, depressed, and anxious. Um, and in some cases, when this psyche state isn't recognized and the conditions of the thoughts are changed, if that isn't recognized early enough, it can also lead to actual sickness in the body and in the consciousness, actual physical and mental ailments and so on that can become a lot more serious over time if the negative or unequalized psyche state isn't neutralized. Um, just the understanding of what the psyche is and how it works is lacking in our world today. Not even the world of psychology and psychiatry seem to understand these principles and ways of functioning of the consciousness and the psyche, and actually deny the workings of the psyche, the real and true workings of the psyche. The psyche is essentially the thought, feeling, state, condition of the human being, the state of well-being or lack of well-being that the human being finds themselves in any given moment, generated by the thinking and the arising feelings, is referred to as psyche. It's a state of being and is caused in every case by the individual thinking of the human being. Um, there are so many people in this world with an absolutely demolished psyche. Um, as I look around in the world, I see it more and more in young people. It's really sad because these people, they don't know what's wrong with them. Often they think that they have a problem or an illness that has happened to them, and don't have the cognition or knowledge or understanding that in fact they have generated their state of a lack of well-being and sickness in the mind by their own thinking and the feelings, and the repeated negative, depressed, depraved thinking and feeling generates this state, the state of being that we refer to as the psyche. Oftentimes, when these facts are pointed out, there's such a softening that's happened in human beings in the modern time also, that it's taken very personally. And although basically, if you try to help these people and let them know that they have the power to change their thinking and therefore their feeling and therefore their state of being, their state of well-being, their mood, and so on, it's often considered an attack, and there's an inability to accept the fact that they are responsible for the way they feel and their state of health or lack of health based on their psyche. And the, a lot of people would much rather just think that there is something wrong with them that's out of their control, and they don't have to then exercise self-responsibility and take responsibility for their thoughts, feelings, and their state of well-being or lack of well-being. Um, in this light, I would like to share something from a contact conversation and Predictions of Sfath, who is Edward Albert Meyer's first teacher, a knowledgeable and wise old man, who is the father of Ptah, who has regular conversations with Billy. So from 1948, and this free document is available on the FIGU website on the shop. It's the Contact Conversations and Predictions of Sfath from 1948. And sentence 147 and on, Sfath speaks thus: all the rules of the good and right will be maliciously depraved and misused in the coming decades and far into the new millennium, whereby innumerable human beings will abandon all their good intentions, thereby anarchistic machinations, which have gotten badly out of the control of the good human nature, will arise, from which especially the young and the middle-aged will be affected. Very much of the good, the positive, and the righteous, as well as the correct modes of behaviour, will be disregarded by the coming generation and will no longer be learned and will be forgotten, as will happen with progress, learning, and general knowledge, as well as regarding what real peace, freedom, harmony, love, and deep feelings for fellow human beings, nature, and its world of plants and all forms of life are. Among the human beings of Earth, a more and more extensive cowardice and unconcernedness will arise, which will fall very badly out of the control of the good human nature to such a frightening degree that human beings will be robbed in front of the fellow human beings and tormented, beaten, whipped, tortured, physically and psychically treated with Gewalt, and even killed, without anyone rushing to help, but only passively looking on. Many young human beings, children and adolescents fall into unconcernedness and lack of deep feelings for others and poverty of thought and feeling because their human feeling and thinking, as well as the sum of all the characteristics of consciousness and attributes of personality, are lost in them, even up to the loss of the most precious and valuable things of all, namely intellect and rationality. They will also be lacking in real vitality, in particular, all self-perceptible individual phenomena or formations of their own vitality and vivacity. The majority of young human beings will become dependent on luxury in the coming years until well into the new millennium, and will only be bad-mannered and despise any authority. They will despise decency and respect, and indeed for themselves, as well as for the elderly, the authorities, the police, and the fellow human beings in general. They will no longer work, but will only want to live unhonestly from what others achieve in a righteous way. The majority of young ones, even children, will contradict their parents and teachers and tyrannize them while they behave noticeably badly in society. And all this bad behavior will go on up to middle age, and consequently also 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds will still behave in these ways. In addition, hallucinogenic drugs will be misused, making the pathological craving for drugs a daily occurrence, and the young people, as well as older ones, will no longer be any use for work and will be prone to schizophrenic illnesses. In addition, these types of juveniles will often criminally become dependent on social security benefit and must be fed, provided with medical attention, and maintained by society. The values of life will be forgotten by many human beings in the times to come, or consciously trampled, as also the fall from all morality occurs, and even a moral corruption in wide sections of the population, to the point of open whoredom, whereby everything quickly develops into a state-approved, open, and tax-paying whoredom. And it continues and goes on. I'd like to just jump to a further part of this document, page 22, 209, and just want to continue with Sfath. As he said back then, it will also be the time when young people in the civilized, industrialized countries are rapidly and severely falling into demoralization and a poverty of intelligence, have no control over their thoughts and feelings any longer, fall into severe psychological and reactive psychoses, whereby they also suffer from and fall ill with depression and symptoms of schizophrenia, as well as mania, anxiety disorders, and other psychotic problems. This will spread more and more in the new millennium, which is why it will be necessary for you to write a book about that, which will be a great help to all those who will then strive to study your book. Now, the book that Sfath refers to in this document, I think, is this book, The Psyche, by Billy Edward Albert Meyer, which is available in English, German and English version. And this book deals with specifically the psyche, the consciousness, the mentality, and how human beings can develop and maintain a good, healthy, neutral, positive, equalized way of thinking, therefore generating the corresponding neutral, positive, equalized way of feeling, and the ensuing, the arising state of well-being referred to as the psyche. In this book, Billy deals with memory, concentration, mentality, psyche, and the might of the thoughts, etc. Which brings me to the next book that I just wanted to show here, Billy Edward Albert Meyer, The Might of the Thoughts, which is also in German English, available for people, which in this regard, with regard to the psyche and the psyche state, thoughts and the feelings, and how the human being can learn to generate correct way of thinking, a healthy way of thinking. This book is of immense value also. There are also, all of Billy's books have value in that regard, but specifically with regard to the human thinking, feeling, and psyche, these two books, if taken seriously, studied carefully, slowly, and repeatedly, and then the suggestions, the recommendations, the techniques, and the methods, if they are implemented in the daily life, I think that this could help an enormous amount of people on this world. So I would like to share this today, and with the wish that people can recognize their self-responsibility, take control of their thinking in a healthy, neutral, and balanced, positive way, and generate for themselves good health, good well-being, and then become a good, true human being, good member of the society. And yes, I just wish good health to all people. So for today, that should be enough. Salome.